There's a future where you're in charge, where you look good and feel good and get what you want, no strings attached, where you cultivate interests, not interest, and you're free to go after the good stuff. Welcome to the future.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We're getting signals from MRO.
Tango Delta.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars, ready to begin seeking the sands of past life.
Buenas tardes a todos, buenos días para los que conectáis desde Latinoamérica y bienvenidos a Fashion Ideas Forum 2021. Para los que no me conozcáis, soy Pilar Riaño y estoy al frente de modaes.es y os saludo desde la sala de actos de la nave, en Madrid. Permitidme solo unas breves palabras para daros la bienvenida a la segunda edición de Fashion Ideas Forum, un encuentro empresarial que pusimos en marcha hace justo un año, en un momento de gran incertidumbre para el sector. Aunque con un poco o bastante más esperanza que hace ahora un año, la incertidumbre continúa produciéndose hoy en día. El aterrizaje de la nave Perseverance en Marte, el pasado febrero, nos inspiró para preparar esta jornada. En un momento en que todo estaba centrado en combatir y en buscar soluciones a la pandemia, la innovación de nuevo se abrió paso y demostró nuestra capacidad, la capacidad de las personas, de la sociedad, de las empresas, de transformarse, de progresar y de encontrar nuevas ideas en cualquier circunstancia. Por eso hemos titulado la edición de este año Nuevas ideas para un nuevo escenario. Aspiramos a que este congreso, esta Innovation Week, estos 5 días de encuentros que vamos a tener a partir de hoy, sean un espacio que nos sirva a todos para poner encima de la mesa nuevas ideas con las que contribuir a la construcción de un nuevo sector de la moda o de sentar las nuevas bases de esa gran industria de la moda y prepararla para el futuro. Gracias a todos por conectaros. Superamos ahora mismo los 1.500 profesionales del sector de la moda en España y en todo el mundo. Y gracias a todas las empresas e instituciones que han hecho posible esta segunda edición de Fashion Ideas Forum. Madrid Capital de Moda, ClearPay y Logis Fashion. Hace un año empezaba esta intervención subrayando la necesidad de que el sector de la moda continuara poniéndose en valor, a pesar o en el peor de los contextos. También decía aquello de que las ideas de la gente, de las personas, de la sociedad, son lo más valioso. Y eso es lo que buscan los profesionales, ideas para continuar adelante con la industria de la moda. Este último año hemos visto cómo el sector lo ha pasado mal, hemos visto caer ventas, hemos visto reducirse tiendas, pero también es cierto que hemos visto surgir nuevas iniciativas y estrategias innovadoras, ideas y al fin y al cabo, para hacer frente a la situación con perseverancia. Cedo la palabra al señor Miguel Ángel Redondo, delegado del Área de Gobierno de Economía, Innovación y Empleo del Ayuntamiento de Madrid, que se encargará de realizar la apertura oficial de la jornada. Muchas gracias, señor Redondo, por acompañarnos.
Muy buenas tardes. Es un placer estar en el Fashion Ideas Forum 2021, en su segunda edición, en una jornada virtual centrada en innovación en el sector de la moda. El lema de la edición es Nuevas ideas para un nuevo escenario y conceptualmente nos inspiramos mucho en la misión Perseverance en la NASA en Marte. La idea es que la innovación se abre paso incluso cuando el mundo está centrado en la lucha contra la pandemia. Y si somos capaces de explorar vida en Marte, El sector de la moda será capaz de recuperarse y transformarse de nuevo para hacer frente a la situación actual. Los ponentes son muy relevantes. Contamos con la primera intervención pública de Thomas Meyer, fundador de Desigual, a través de una entrevista grabada que emitiremos el martes, con Jacques-Antoine Granjon, fundador de BP, antiguo fundador de Privé y la Española Privaria, o Elena Carraso, directora de online de Mango. También tendremos un publicista muy relevante, José María Roca de Viñals, vicepresidente de DDB, y otros empresarios, directivos y expertos como Ágata Ruiz de la Prada, Joaquín Humérez o Bruno Rodríguez, el socio de Deloitte, que está coordinando un PERTE en el sector de la moda con una unión histórica de todos los grandes operadores del sector, patronales, empresas, etc. También hemos implicado a 5 startups del sector de la moda: Sepia, La Más Mona, Muroexe, Ecodicta y Project Lobster, que plantearán preguntas a los ponentes como miembros de un panel de expertos. Sin duda, el sector de la moda es uno de los sectores más importantes y dinámicos de la economía española. Según la última edición del Informe Económico de la Moda en España, genera el 2,8% del PIB, el 4% del empleo y el 8,9% de las exportaciones de bienes. Y es uno de los pocos sectores en los que España puede decir que tiene a líderes internacionales como Inditex, número 1 del mundo en gran distribución de moda por facturación, Mango, Tendan, cuya sede está en Madrid, Pepe Jeans, Desigual, Tous, Camper, Pronovias, que es líder global en moda nupcial. Según recogemos en el mismo informe, la Comunidad de Madrid es la quinta más importante de España para la industria de la moda. También es, por primera vez en 2020, el principal mercado para las ventas del sector, según el comercio textil en cifras, informe de la patronal Acotex. El sector ha perdido muchísimo con el COVID-19. La situación en los primeros meses de 2021 no es mucho mejor. Hasta abril las ventas acumulan un descenso del 40% respecto al mismo periodo en 2019. Sin embargo, el sentimiento del sector es no obstante positivo, ya que la mayoría de las empresas confían en un periodo de muchas ventas a partir de septiembre. En fin, buenas tardes a todos y espero disfruten y aprovechen del Fashion Ideas Forum 2021. Gracias de nuevo.
Muchísimas gracias, señor Redondo, por apoyarnos con su presencia. El escenario que ha dejado la pandemia en el mundo se parece en parte a esas imágenes que manda la nave Perseverance a la Tierra, un desierto hostil. Pero está claro que está en manos del sector, de los empresarios, de los directivos, de las personas, encontrar oportunidades para sobrevivir a esta crisis y, por supuesto, para salir reforzados de ella. Aspiramos a que la innovación y las ideas sean los protagonistas de estos próximos 5 días. Como veréis, nosotros hemos intentado innovar un poco en el escenario y lo hemos convertido durante estos 5 días en nuestro particular Marte. De nuevo, esta jornada tiene lugar en formato digital, es decir, nosotros en físico aquí en Madrid, pero vosotros en vuestras casas, oficinas u otros lugares en todas partes del mundo. A lo largo de estos 5 días vamos a contar con 1 o 2 ponencias al día de algunas de las voces más acreditadas del sector. Vamos a tener empresarios que han fundado empresas y han roto modelos de negocio, han creado modelos de negocio disruptivos. Empresarios como Jacques-Antoine Granjon, fundador de BP, Thomas Meyer, fundador de Desigual, o Ágata Ruiz de la Prada, que nos van a hablar de su idea de innovación, de qué es innovar. También tendremos la participación o contaremos con la participación de directivos que son referentes para el sector, como Elena Carraso, directora de online y de cliente de Mango, o Joaquín Humérez, director general de Ternua Group, y con ellos hablaremos de innovación en digitalización y de innovación en producto. También tendremos espacio para José María Roca de Viñals, de DDB, o Bruno Rodríguez, de Deloitte. Además, como os anticipaban antes, ya que esto va de innovar, pues hemos pedido ayuda a algunas de las startups más innovadoras y más prometedoras que tiene ahora mismo España en el sector de la moda, como son Sepia, La Más Mona, Muroexe, Ecodicta o Project Lobster, que formarán sus directivos, diferentes directivos de estas empresas, formarán el panel de expertos que al final de cada sesión nos va a ayudar a lanzar preguntas a los ponentes. También os animamos, como siempre, a que pongáis preguntas en el chat y mis compañeros nos las hacen llegar y así se las podemos formular a los ponentes. Y si os apetece pues, tuitear, que sepáis que estamos utilizando el hashtag FIF2021. Sin más preámbulos, empezamos y damos paso al primer ponente de la jornada. Desde París, en la sede de VIP, vamos a conectar con ellos. Está mi compañera Iria Pérez Gestal, redactora jefe de Moda Es, con Jacques-Antoine Grandjean, presidente y consejero delegado de VIP. Al finalizar sus estudios en INSEC y la European Business School de París, Grandjean fundó una empresa dedicada a la venta al por mayor de stocks. Después de 27 años de experiencia en el canal físico, en 2001 decidió dar el salto online y llevar ese modelo de negocio a la red. La entonces Ben Privé, que lanzó junto a otros 7 socios, se ha convertido desde 2019 en VP y ha crecido con compras de compañías como Privalia, como la española Privalia. Antes de nada, simplemente para que lo tengáis en cuenta, tanto Iria como el señor Grandjean se han realizado test PCR previamente, de manera eso les permite poder mantener una conversación cómoda y distendida sin mascarilla. Y nada más, os dejo con ellos. Iria, todo tuyo.
Muchas gracias, Pilar. Jacques-Antoine, thank you very much for being with us today.
Buenos días, and thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much for coming to Paris to do this interview. And hello to Spain. Happy to be here. Thanks.
Merci. Well, we are talking about innovation. Innovation has become increasingly important in recent years, and the world is changing faster and faster. Has the world gone crazy?
Oh, okay. This is a question interesting because you're talking about because of the COVID, or you're talking about industrialization that is growing, or is it simply because when we get old, we think that old generations think that everything happening is crazy because it's different from before. So I think that's the same thing for many times. When you see the world changing and get older, you think it's crazy. But that's the world as it is. So it means that what is now the pulse of the world is speed. Everything goes quicker, there is no frontiers, communication goes quick, and so we think it's crazy. But in fact, to answer your question, I think that the speed and the fact that we have a global world, the world has become global very quickly, and then you have COVID, and you understand that it becomes more local, but still being global with the vaccine. Vaccines are not made locally, they are made for global vision. So all this confused us, and also there is something which is terrible in this world, is that now inequalities, differences between countries, between people, in the relationship with man and woman, all inequalities are very high. We can see them now. So it makes a more sensitive world when you say this is not possible. Why some countries have democracy, why some don't have. Why women are treated this way somewhere, why this way it's better. So this is much more So the answer to your question is, the philosopher will answer this question. I'm not a philosopher. But if you are talking to the CEO and managers in this world, very speed, we need agility to make sure that we can adapt our companies to always the speed and the needs.
Mm-hmm. You disrupted the sector with a new business model. Do you think this can be done again?
I think I didn't disrupt the sector. I think I used technology to create a service that was adapted by a lot of brands, a multitude of brands, because it was a very good service for them to help them get rid of their inventories at the time being. And I used technology to be able to offer this service to brands, and a lot of brands, from luxury brands to more accessible brands use this service. What's important is that why do you create something? Always a why is important. Why do you do things? So my disruption, if you call it like that, was to do a better service. That was the one I was doing when I used to do the same in physical. That's why maybe you call it a disruption. So I am sure that in the future, there will be more and more people trying to disrupt and make things evolve. That's part of the game.
Do you believe in serial entrepreneurs, people that create, one startup after the other?
I have friends that create companies and sell them very quickly. I don't know what is their goal, because maybe excitement for them is creation, small teams, and selling, making money or not, and doing it again. For me, your question, I don't understand what it means for me, because I have the same company for 35 years. I have done 15 years of physical jobber, and then I went to digital. I've done 20 years of digital job, which means it's 35 years, and I still have a lot of projects to entertain in the company. So I'm not an outside freak entrepreneur. I am an insider entrepreneur that is ready to make new projects inside with the teams, with the manager. So yes, we have inside projects that we try to do all the time.
How do you do that? How do you make a big company that has 30 years of history still be innovative every day?
First, you don't need to be innovative every day, but if you don't put innovation in the center, you die. Because as I say, it goes so quick. That's competition arrives, new ways arrive, new ways of selling, new ways of new products. So innovation must be in the center. But innovation is not only doesn't only come from tech. It comes also from new way of talking to your members or your customers. It comes of the quality of what you find in the marketing report you do for your consumers or for the brands. In B2B, we do a lot of marketing reports at VP for the brands. It comes from the graphic design you give to the site and how it attracts and it creates a desirability, not only through the offer, but also through the UX. UX is very important. How do you change the way of circulating on the site? Innovation is everywhere, and innovation comes from the people inside the company, not only the CEOs, the founders, the managers. It goes all through the team, and also with the board. Board has to be innovative to understand, otherwise the company is blocked with financial decision, less investment, and so on. And it's key, otherwise you die.
But do you think there is a relationship between size and innovation? I mean, can big companies still be innovative?
So when you are talking about the responsibility of big companies, they are very important because big companies have social responsibility. They have a lot of employees. They have societal responsibility, societal, I don't know how you say in English or in Spain, societal responsibilities, which means they are not alone. They live with suppliers, we live with brands, we have interaction with a lot of logistics company, so that's societal, and we are also sustainability, environmental responsibility, which means when you're bigger, you can take decision quick like that, not to put in risk all your responsibilities that you have because you are bigger. For example, at VP, we are in the world more than 5,500 people. So I can take risk on the company. That's why conservatism is something good. But on the other side, as I say, if you don't look long term of your innovation, you die. So this is a balance you have to work on every day.
You were mentioning before you have a long history. You started on the offline world, then you switched to the online. What has changed in the world since you started?
What has changed? This has changed because this is crazy. This is communication, no wall, speed of connection. Everything goes through this. fake information, good information, relationship, products, payment, everything. So this has changed. Good or bad, it's not my question to answer, but this has changed the world. This is a shop. I can talk to my customer, each of one, on one-to-one. I can talk to anyone, any place in the world. I can buy a product from the other part of the world. This is a change.
If it existed when you started, would you have done something differently?
If I knew?
Yeah, if we had smartphones back then.
No, this is a question. It's like no. What was very interesting is that the behaviors change. For example, when we start VP, it was in France when it really started to grow. It was 2004. It was the beginning of DSL. So people, before, there used to be internet only in offices, banks, trading companies, financial companies. They had quick connection to make the trade. And then when the DSL arrived, which is a quick internet at home, the computer became in the middle of the living room. And women, because women make VP, they were sitting in front of their computer and they spent time drinking a cup of tea or cup of coffee, looking at the sales and opportunities of this new media. And then slowly, 2012, computer disappeared of the living room and appeared the phone. And the phone became linked to your body, linked to your mind, and something very egoistical, because sometimes you don't need to, and we see that with young people, you don't need to go outside because you can get everything inside. So yes, all this move of behaviors change, and we adapt the company to, for example, before on VP, you could take your time to buy because, okay, some kids was coming, someone was ringing on the phone, you were in front of the computer. Now, maybe you look at VP from a waiting place, and then someone rings and you quit what you're buying. So you come back more often, but we have to make you desirability very quick so you can buy the offer quicker. So everything changed, and we have to adapt also to the way the consumer innovate in how they want to use this. And this is an enigma that we face every day.
In this search for the attention of the consumer, what do you think is more important today in fashion, the product or the data?
Definitely the product. Definitely, especially in fashion, the product. How do you create, all companies, they need to answer the question why. Why me, the founder, or me, the CEO, or me, the manager, or even me, the guy who is working in this company, why do I wake up the morning? What kind of product or service do I create? That is the real reason why I work. So the why is very important, and on fashion, creating products that are desirable, that are attractive, that women or men want to buy and wear is the key. And then you have all the data and all the tools that are only things to accelerate your growth if you want to have growth, your visibility, your notoriety. But the product is really the why of a fashion company.
But then when we speak about innovation in fashion, all the words that come to mind are big data, IoT, RFID. Do you think fashion needs to go back to basics somehow?
No, I think fashion that is successful is very much on basic. They use the tool. The tools are very important to, as I say, to accelerate sales or to create more freedom to the people who work in the company, because they will have more freedom to be creative for the product. The tools are made to take rid of all the things that you don't need to do, because when you're a fashion company, you need to concentrate on your creativity, on your next products, on your next collections, and how your brand is going to be desirable.
So innovation must be focused on innovating on the product. Is it that better guarantee for success than innovating in other areas?
You can innovate a lot if you are only a marketing tool. you know, I am a guy who believes in the offer. If the offer is good, it will find the customer at the end. If the offer is bad, you can use all the tools in the world. It won't work long term. It will work maybe because it's just for short term, and but in fact, what I think is long term, and long term comes from the product.
Mm-hmm. You were saying before you don't think you were disruptive. So how would you define disruption in the fashion industry? What is to disrupt in the sector?
I think that disrupting today the fashion industry, first, it's very difficult for me to answer. I know what we do. For example, we created something called Recycle, because there is a lot of environmental subjects that fashion industry have to address. So disrupting will be how can we still sell volumes with your brands, not producing them by making bad things for the planet because you produce them far away, because you use low salaries in other countries where salaries are lower, where the level of life is lower, and then you take a lot of transportation. There is a famous brand from Hong Kong that you can see on Instagram all the time. It's very cheap products, but very fashionable. It works very well. But all the products come by plane, made in factories in China to be sold in Europe. So is this disrupting? Yes, it's a kind of disrupting model because they sell fashion at a very low price. But is it good for the planet? I don't think so. So for me, our fashion, which is a strong industry with hundreds of million people working on it, can disrupt. It will come to how they can make more sustainability with all the industrial part.
Mm-hmm. That was actually the next question. How can a pure play like BP contribute to this change towards sustainability in fashion?
Well, we create a product called Recycle. We invented this. It's really new. It's an inverted cell where we propose to the customers of VP to send back their product in exchange of a coupon. When they get the coupon, they can spend with a discount in the shop of the brand. And all the products, we get them, and it's huge amounts. We made already 10 operations. We get them, and we do that in Spain. We have a big warehouse of 45,000 square meters in Santa Oliva, in south of Barcelona. And we are building an industrial process to clean, to trier, to sort, to clean, to sort, to give to startup, or to sell second-hand products clean on the site with the accordance of the brand. This is very innovative, and not to throw the products, but to make sure that some people can wear them again, having a new life. This has a strong impact on the sustainability of the planet.
So do you think the next big revolution or disruption in the fashion industry will come throughout more sustainable business models like...
I think, but as I told you, I'm not a specialist. I think that all the different use of materials, raw materials, how can we find cotton, recycle the cotton, not using leather anymore, because I am a big fan of protecting the animal's life and so on. So how can you use new material to invent the fashion of tomorrow? Because this is key. Fashion is key. Fashion is so important. Fashion is identity. Everybody wants to show his feelings by the way or not he dresses, and fashion is key. And that's why, for me, the industry will be there, but has to be sustainable so that consumer doesn't reject it.
Mm-hmm. Regarding this, I want to make you one last question that we'll be making to all the speakers. Some say fashion has lost relevance to their consumers. What can we do to gain it back at a time like this?
First, I would like to say that about the orientation, fashion has to maybe evolve. I know that a lot of brands think about it and say, how can I make my brand more sustainable? How can I face the challenge? And those brands, they take actions about what they do with unsold products. They take a lot of actions. When you don't take actions, organizations or consumer force you to take actions. Like you read, PETA had a long fight with Canada Goose, because Canada Goose was using Coyote, and they just announced that PETA said, okay, now it's okay, they will stop. So it was a fight, and they were forced a little bit. So now they change. So I think that the consumer will decide what brands he wants to buy because of what he expects from the brand he's buying. That's the first point. And this is very important. That's why we created Recycle, to offer the brands the possibility to tell what they are doing. And also, to answer your question about is fashion irrelevant now, I would say not at all. Fashion is totally irrelevant. It's not because there is a lot of problems in the world, huge problems of energy, of poverty, of inequality, that fashion has to be culpabilized for what they are doing. Fashion is so important. Fashion is an industry. It's an industry of making 100 million people working for it. But more than that, fashion, it's a way of living, it's desirability, it's connected to design, it's connected to artists, it's connected to paintings, it's connected to music, it's connected to life and a way of living. So fashion is not irrelevant at all in the tough world we are living in.
Wonderful. I think we had already, Fede from Sevilla. He's one of the most successful startups in Spain and most innovative as well. Hi, Fede. So whenever you want, go ahead.
I would like to ask, so when you first started your company, did you ever imagine it will be this huge success? Like, did you have this clear vision of where you wanted to go from the very beginning, or was something that was constructed on the going?
No, it's really a long adventure. And I was 22. So, when you are 22, you're ready to take risks, but you have less needs. You want to have fun in life, and you want, especially sometimes, to be independent from your studies, from your parents. And you start a company sometimes with no idea. Now, there is a lot of opportunities for young people with startup technology. But in 1985, there was still lot of opportunities, but it was not like, we didn't call it startup, we call it, okay, let's start a business, okay? So you start simple, and then you like it or not, you're successful or not, and then suddenly you adapt yourself. I can write 10 pages about how technology changed my business. But starting when I start to remember, I remember that in 1985 I used to confirm the deals with the brands through telex, and you don't know what the telex is because you're too young and it doesn't exist anymore. And then it changed because the fax arrived, and you don't know what it is to have a fax that doesn't print because you didn't put paper. And then I can show you how the technology in 35 years changed. So then you adapt yourself, and you say, okay, I take this train and I go this way. And then it becomes grow, and success is not easy story. You say, okay, VP, huge company, but success takes time. You make a lot of mistakes. It goes down sometimes. You goes up. You correct your mistakes. You lose time. This is life. So entrepreneurship and having his companies, it's having a long story of building not your dreams, but of building your independency and your creativity.
Thank you so much.
I don't know if you have any further questions.
I'm good.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Well, we have plenty of questions from our audience. For example, Alberto asks, being a private company makes it easier for you to innovate versus, being on the stock market?
No, I think it's nothing to do with that. Innovation, as I say, is a question of how you build your company and the spirit of your company. Apple is an incredible, innovative company, and it's public, and it's one of the most expensive companies in the world. And you have some small companies that are very innovative. Nothing to do with being public or not. Being public helps you to raise money quicker, but also give you a lot of constraints in terms of doing exactly what you say you will do. When you're a private company, sometimes you give only, you respond only to your shareholders, which are private, which is easier than responding to eventually what kind of shareholder. It's more freedom, I think.
We have another question from, I believe, someone who has a startup. His name is Gonzalo. He says, would you recommend a startup accelerator or incubator program to a small company?
It's very complicated for me to give advice because I'm coming from an old world where I built my company without raising money. We never raise money at VP. I don't like to be diluted by raising money, but money is also essential to make the growth. And also sometimes when you have a new market, the money is necessary to take the lead on the market and then to increase your price and to get margin. But this is not the kind of world I live with VP. I live in a world where I give a service and my service has a price because it's a good service. So that's why I have always been profitable. So if the reason of your question is, do you recommend any accelerator for companies? I don't know much. I used to have VP in Station F in Paris because there is a mix of companies, big companies that are looking at innovation, because innovation doesn't come only from inside your company. It comes from, okay, I look at startups, I look at a service I would like to give to my customers, but someone is doing well. We did that with VP. We bought a company called Daco, for example, which is scrapping all the reference prices on internet. And so today, when we do a discount, we have the reference price, which is scrapped by a company. We didn't build it, we bought it. So Station F in Paris is a very good place to meet big companies and to have a place to develop your company by connecting, because connection of people and intelligence is key for your project.
You were talking about Apple, and there's one member of the audience who says, why do you think we don't have a Silicon Valley in Europe?
This is also a very technical question. You have to ask why venture capital is so important in the US in the past. Some people say now that Silicon Valley is decreasing because you have other Silicon Valley everywhere in China or other places. But in fact, it's true that innovation and the rendezvous between innovation, intelligence, university, and money, venture capitalists, happened in the west part of the US, what John Kennedy calls the new frontier with space, but also the new frontier with internet, telecommunication, and everything. So I think that it's a question of venture capital. And now the capital, as I say, is everywhere. So if you are very good in Barcelona, in Zaragoza, in Bilbao, and you have a great idea, today, with this tool and with the connections, you can have venture capital come to your company. So I think that's why now the Silicon Valley, it doesn't mean any place, because now with the network, connected network, the places can be everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I have teams that work in Poland. I have teams that work in Israel. I have teams that were everywhere in France, and they work together. In the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, all this intelligence needed to be in the same area, which was Cupertino Valley. But now the world is the area.
Mm-hmm. Christine says, bonjour, if you started off again now, what would you have done differently?
It's yes, there is a lot of things you would have done differently when you know, like if you play the lotto or if you you know the numbers, it's easy. So, but the fact that you don't know makes the path and makes you create something else. So I would not change something. The only thing I would change is that I'm not a guy from tech. And it took me a long time to understand that tech, because we are a tech company, but from a commercial guy, it took me a long time to understand that tech is only a language. So if you want to develop a tech company, it's much easier if you know the language, because you can talk to the people who develop the code, which is, what is a code? It's only the translation of an action. So I give you an example. When I was in 2003, building the beginning of VP, the guy who take care of the tech of the company, when I talked to him, he was always writing on a small computer. And I thought, wow, he's very rude. What is he doing? I'm talking to him, and he was taking my ideas to put them online. When you understand that, if you create, and now it's more tech than fashion we are talking, but if you create a tech company, the idea has to be translated not by too many people around, because you change the idea, how it is made on the code line. I don't know if I am clear, but for me, that I would change, and I would say to the tech guys exactly what I want, not being polluted by meetings and meetings and meetings and meetings, and the guy at the end doesn't know what we are talking about.
Mm-hmm. In the same sense, Alice asks, what was the biggest mistake as an entrepreneur?
The biggest mistake as an entrepreneur, but it's also the strength, is when you do things with your heart because you dream that this will work, and you create in your mind all the chemical to say, let's do it because I am an entrepreneur. That's why I want to open Vente Privée in the US, but for 5 years, I knew exactly why I should never have been, I will never go to the US. And suddenly something happened to me. A guy came to me. He was a big boss of American Express, Ken Chenault, a very famous guy in the US, the first Afro-American to be the boss of American Express, a very strong financial company. He came to see me and he said, let's do the US together. And my answer is yes. And this is how works an entrepreneur. So it was bad thing to do in the US, big mistake, losing time, money, competition came at the same time in Europe when we were fighting to do. And I knew that we should not have done it. But this is when you think with your passion and not thinking with rational. But if you are an entrepreneur also, you always think with your passion. Mm-hmm. So it's a difficult answer.
But was it a bad decision or just bad timing?
It was a bad decision. For a simple reason, the US are outlet market for inventories, and in Europe you have a lot of brands, and they protect their inventories and they don't produce for outlet. That's the main difference, and that's why we are very creative on VP to make sure that we protect the brand, we protect their image, we protect their reputation when they do an operation with us.
Mm-hmm. In talking about the US, there's one viewer that asks, what do you think about Amazon in the fashion industry?
I think that Amazon is an incredible success. I met Jeff Bezos, The guy is a visionary guy. Amazon is totally concentrated on the final consumer. Amazon is not interested at all in the brands. Amazon wants to deliver products to the final consumer. So if you're a brand, you look at Amazon and say, wow, fantastic. It's a huge opportunity, but in fact, Amazon, the only brand that is important is Amazon and the consumer, which is, it doesn't create the desirability you want to have to protect your brands. And when you put it on Amazon, you know that it's not the same story. That's why companies like Nike have stopped to work and have with Amazon. So incredible company, totally focused on their product and the consumer, not the products of the brands. They're not B2B, in fact. They are totally interested by the C.
Just this morning, we had the news that British company JD Sports has got a pure player in Spain called Debra Village. Is brick still important? The stores?
To be physical
Yeah.
and digital? Yes, for sure. The COVID has been an accelerator with the lockdowns everywhere, an accelerator of the understanding of the brand that they need to have independency because any lockdown can happen anytime. Again. So brands want to be independent and not depend on physical. But physical is key also because physical is experience, physical is more emotion. And also VP with Recycle, we will offer a physical experience. Today we have 100% full digital. But you know, the mix is very interesting now, and the COVID has made an acceleration in that.
That we will see, I don't know, VP store in Champs-Élysées one day?
Never see a VP store on the Champs-Élysées because the origin model of VP is to sell the inventories of brands to people who have discount stores. And you want discount to be away from full price. You don't want to mix because you don't want to mix the image of the group. And so with internet, we invented a model where we could be very powerful for a short time. That's why we are a flash company. The events are very short. If you start to put products on boxes, the Champs-Élysées, people will see and they will be confused by why is this price here and why is the same brand having a big store with another price. That's why we never do that. But on Recycle, we can create different experience with the products and with the brand.
Do you think you can grow, I don't know, for another 30 years without a break?
No, we can grow. We are in a very paradoxal business. We grow if we are able to sell the inventories of the brands. And then because we create a very attractive offer, we have a lot of traffic. We don't do advertising. We don't give money to the GAFA in terms of creating traffic. We have a natural traffic of more than 4 million people every day without advertising. And because we have the traffic, we develop a lot of sectors like travel, like food and beverage, like recycle, a lot of sectors like ticketing. We sold, for example, this weekend, almost 10,000 seats of the Elton John concert. So this is VP. The traffic comes by the offer we do with the brands. Great brands, great offers, and then because of this traffic, we animate this traffic by opening other sectors where the discount is not especially the creative part.
Well, unfortunately, I think we've run out of time. Thank you very much. It's been
Thank you, Aya. Sorry not speaking Spanish, and for my English, I hope in Spain you all speak very good English.
Oh, it's much better than our French, for sure.
Oh, no, I'm not sure.
It's been wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Muchísimas gracias, Iria, por supuesto. Muchísimas gracias, Fede, y por supuesto, thank you very much, Mr. Granjon. Después de estos minutos que han sido accidentados, disculpad bueno, tenía que haber dicho antes, pero disculpad por estos pequeños inconvenientes técnicos que hemos tenido. Por mi parte, solo me queda agradeceros de nuevo por haber conectados y vamos a cerrar ya el primer día de Fashion Ideas Forum 2021. Os esperamos de nuevo mañana a las 4 para seguir buscando esas ideas de futuro. Mañana tenemos a José María Roca de Viñals, de DDB, y a Thomas Meyer, fundador de Desigual. Y nada, solo recordaros que no hace falta ni password ni contraseña ni nada, mañana a las 4 en la home de Modaes y nada más. Nos vemos mañana. Gracias.
There's a future where you're in charge, where you look good and feel good and get what you want, no strings attached. Where you cultivate interests, not interest, and you're free to go after the good stuff. Welcome to the future.